My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Shrek 2, and this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I am not exaggerating when I call this movie a cinematic masterpiece. It is honestly that good. It is one of the greatest movies ever, and I have watched it so many times in my life, and it only gets better with age. And it's also a perfect sequel. Like, it takes everything you love about that first movie and offers you more of it while still feeling fresh, still feeling new, and it evolves the characters and story just so incredibly well. And let's begin talking about the soundtrack. And the first movie began with All Star by Smash Mouth. So how do you follow up with an ending that with an opening that iconic? Well, the answer is Accidentally in Love by the Counting Crows. This was the perfect song to use, and hot take, I kind of like this opening more than the original. They're both great in their own ways, but this song just really does it for me. And the rest of the soundtrack is really great as well. Funky Town is well used. I Need Some Sleep is perfectly used. I love that song. Ever Fallen in Love, great exciting song. Changes, perfectly used. People Ain't No Good, perfectly used. Holding Out for a Hero, I will talk more about that later on, but the cover by Jennifer Saunders sounds amazing. I like it better than the original, to be honest. And Living La Vida Local is also really good. So, the soundtrack is every bit as good as the original's movie, and the score by Harry Gregson-Williams just continues to be amazing. It definitely recaptures similar sounds from the first movie, but they expand upon it so well, and there's some nice new music, and it's just perfectly utilized. Like, the music in this movie adds excitement and it adds emotion, and it just adds this magical feeling to these movies. While you're watching them, it feels like a fairy tale, and so much of that is due to the music. My favorite pieces would be Prince Charming, Leaving Home, Fiona's Room, Not Meant to Be, and All Is Revealed, but the entire musical score soundtrack is top notch. And I also love how this movie expands upon the first movie thematically. Like, the first movie is about opening up and overcoming insecurities, and this movie takes that to the next level. It's about trying to live up to expectations about who you think people want you to be and who people actually want you to be. And it really cleverly uses fairy tales as those expectations. That Fiona is meant to be with Prince Charming because that's what happens in the fairy tales. She doesn't end up with an ogre, and how that really affects Shrek on a psychological level. It's so well done. But I also love how this movie is just about how a marriage is about two people who love each other just the way they are. And the entire plot of Shrek finding this potion that turns him and Fiona into humans, and how Prince Charming gets involved, it just so smartly explores those ideas. I also just love that scene of Shrek going through her room, and there's a little Fiona toy with a handkerchief. And it says the line that she says in the first movie where she gets rescued. And it just makes you think about how Fiona was dreaming about the day of her rescue for so long. And how Shrek feels like he didn't let it live up to her expectations. And then him going through her diary, like, there's real weight to everything Shrek is going through. He's not just being moody for the sake of it, you completely understand him. And he just feels like he doesn't belong in Fiona's life, and it's very relatable. His desire to be accepted. You know, it's like if you start dating someone and then you have to meet their family, and their family might have expectations of who you should be, and it's difficult to live up to them. So there is a real grounded emotional core to this movie. And I find the ending when Shrek tells Fiona that if we kiss, we can stay this way forever. And Fiona thinks about it, and she's like, I just want what any princess wants. To live happily ever after. And then Shrek leans in for the kiss. She blocks him. With the ogre I married. It's actually so beautiful, and it moves me every single time. I also love Fairy Godmother as the villain because she is the one trying to force those expectations onto Shrek and Fiona. And I also think Prince Charming is a great villain in this movie because he represents who Shrek thinks he should be. So it's just a very well thought out movie, and it wears its heart on its sleeve, and it just hits all those emotional beats. Let's talk about the cast. Mike Myers continues to do a great job. He brings so much humanity to this character. He nails every comedic line, and he's just an easy person to root for. Cameron Diaz, I thought, did a really great job as well. She's going through a lot, and you can just feel her sadness. And she really brings this character to life ever so perfectly. Eddie Murphy is still top notch. He is so funny, he's so filled with personality and energy, and he's exceptional. Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots is a great new addition. I like the way he ties into the plot, but even his character and how different he is from Donkey and the friendship he forms with Shrek, it's very entertaining. I do love that one line where Fiona looks at him and she's like, Shrek? And he's like, for you, baby, I could be. That's great. Antonio Banderas is so good. John Cleese, I think, does a fantastic job as well. Julie, and there's a lot more depth to his character. Just what he's afraid of happening to him and how that pressures him. He's a bit of a scumbag, but you get it. Julie Andrews, I thought, did a very good job as well. Rupert Everett, I thought, did fantastic as Prince Charming. And Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother, just really incredible work. She's so manipulative, and she's so evil and menacing, and you see her constantly in a different mood, and she always sells you on it. And then I also want to mention that the rest of the supporting cast continues to stand out with minimal screen time. Like Pinocchio, the pigs, the wolf, the three blind mice, Gingy, they all stand out. They're barely in these movies, yet they're so memorable. And yeah, I just love this movie so much. I think the emotion hits. There's just a magical quality to these movies, and it's hilarious. That scene, well, the knights are chasing Shrek and Donkey in purse, and it's trying to replicate the O.J. Simpson chase, and they pepper spray them. That is just hilarious. The scene where Pinocchio goes down to rescue Shrek, and he has to lie, and he says he's wearing the lady's underwear, but his nose doesn't grow. That scene to me as a kid was the funniest thing on the planet, and it's still very funny. The entire water trip with Donkey asking Shrek, "Are we there yet?" "No, it's far, far away." That cracks me up. Even yeah, that's great. The dinner table argument, I think, is really funny. I love it when Shrek meets Fiona's parents and they keep like finishing each other's sentences. That's really well done. The scene where the giant gingerbread man destroys or smashes one Starbucks and then everyone runs out across the street to the next Starbucks is just peak comedy. Like if you've been to LA, you just know that there is so many Starbucks and it's hilarious. The scene where Shrek pretends to be with the Union, that's great. The line where Puss is like, "You still look like an ass to me." Like, this movie is also quotable. I can't tell you how many times there'll be a family dinner and someone will say someone else's name and they'll say someone else's name and I'll be like, "Donkey." Yeah, so the movie is hilarious. It is quotable. I like how it can spoof Alien and Spider-Man and Frankenstein. But it's time to address the elephant in the room. The climax of this movie is the greatest climax in any movie ever, and I truly mean that. That entire holding out for hero sequence is just top tier filmmaking. The animation, the stakes, the music, just everything going on. It is so exciting and it's so emotional, and I'm just like, yes, the entire time. Like, it is honestly as perfect as could be. Like, it is peak cinema. Yeah. The movie's also filled with lots of other great moments. Them escaping from the factory is a very exciting sequence. I love the way this movie begins, where Prince Charming is trying to save Fiona through blistering winds and scorching deserts, and then he gets there and it's a wolf, and he's like, "Where's Fiona? She's on her honeymoon." Then it cuts to the handheld camera. Perfect. I love just so much of this movie. I just think it gives you absolutely everything you could possibly want in a movie like this. The character work is top notch. It has thematic depths. It's emotional. It is moving. It is romantic. It is hilarious. It is exciting. It has a great soundtrack and a great score. The voice cast is great. The villain is really fantastic. Like, this movie just, it's a cinematic masterpiece. So I'm giving Shrek 2 a 9 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Shrek 2? Yes, you have. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin